This week on Previews World Weekly, we discuss all of those sweet announcements from Disney Plus Day, take a look at Image's supermassive crossover event, and unpack your personal headcanons. It's all happening right now on Previews World Weekly.
What's up, Previews World? It's Wednesday. It's New Comic Book Day, which means it's time for Previews World Weekly. I'm one of your hosts, Troy Jeffrey Allen.
I'm your other host, Ashton Greenwood, aka the Duchess of Free Comic Book Day, aka hang out with me at Free Comic Book Day on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all the hot spots. A month away from Free Comic Book Day announcements, so you're going to want to be with it.
Yeah, so you are going to want to be with it because we get so many messages all the time about when are you going to announce stuff? When is Free Comic Book Day? When is Free Comic? It's like, okay, yeah, all right. Well, now you know, and Ashton will be repeating that here until we actually announce stuff. And then she'll be repeating the date over and over again. So there you go.
You guys will be sick of me.
Apparently they never get sick of hearing it. So they don't even record it to memory. So it's okay.
Right. They just want to hear it again.
They just want to hear it again. You just say it so nicely. That's what it is, Ashton.
Thanks.
There you go. Ashton, what's going on in Riverdale this week? Like, can you please? I saw Ron Case, who had been on the panel twice, actually, to talk about Archie Harvey. He's a representative of Archie Comics. He works in social media marketing. And I heard there was some drama with Jughead, and it was pretty intense, apparently. Can you catch us up to date on what's going on in the Riverdale Sabrina crossover without spoiling anything, of course?
Okay, so I can try. I'm definitely missing some chunks of things because I missed the last 3 episodes of season 5. So when I watched this new episode, I was very confused. But so Riverdale is currently doing a special called Rivervale with a V.
Okay.
And it's like this Twilight Zone version of Riverdale where everything is just messier than it already is, if that's at all possible.
How's that possible?
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. No Sabrina yet. There was no Sabrina last night, but based on the way this weird episode happened, I'm sure that she will be arriving shortly. Have you seen the movie Midsommar?
Yes, I have actually. That was very memorable movie.
It certainly was. This episode is very much like a love letter to Midsommar. Cheryl has this like crazy maple syrup festival. I can't get into why it's maple syrup related, but she has a maple syrup festival that is like
it's fall.
It's like a Midsommar festival, and the ending ends up with them sacrificing one of their own, and it's just weird. And everyone's got like weird subplots, like what the baby has colic, and like Jughead's apartment is infested with bugs, and like Betty can't have kids, and everyone has like weird side plots that all come to a head at this Midsommar festival.
Interesting.
It feels like Sabrina should be arriving anytime now.
Okay, all right. Maybe they're heralding the arrival of Sabrina. Maybe things just get a little wacky. Yeah, now that makes me wonder if Ron Case was just trolling me on Twitter, because he made this really dramatic comment about how traumatized he was by the events of this episode. Now I'm wondering if he just had bed bugs and he could just not get around it.
There was certainly some traumatic things that happened in this episode. I did not think that the traumatic occurrences were Jughead related. They were other character related. I guess if you have like a bug phobia, then Jughead's specific plight would bother you, but I was okay with it.
Okay, all right. Actually, here we go. Where to get our free comic?
All right, thanks, Chris. I got you.
I don't know if that's a troll or not, but you might as well. Why not? Just go ahead and address it real quick for the people.
Okay, so you can get your free comics at your local comic book shop next year on Free Comic Book Day. You can head to the Free Comic Book Day website for all of the information and to find a participating local comic shop. Stay tuned on the website and on Free Comic Book Day social media pages for us to announce the titles that will be available next month.
All right, cool. All right, Ashton, you know what? I might just be one of those mainstream simpletons that you mentioned last week and the week before in regards to Dune.
Oh no.
I know. Look, you already knew that, like, I read like 6 chapters of the book. I put it down, never picked it back up. I just couldn't get into it, right?
Right.
From my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, the movie is very much very much in line with the book in a lot of ways.
Absolutely.
Okay, gotcha. All right. So so of course, I put the book down, so I'm already not the target audience, right?
Sure.
But it was a little too still for me. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's
Mhm.
a misbegotten youth of Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, like. But it was just a little too. Dune was just a little too, just calm and just like,
Mhm.
just I don't want to say flat because I don't think that's the correct term I want to use. But yeah, it just had a very still pace to it that I just couldn't really sink my teeth into.
Mhm.
Now, in my defense, or actually, I guess maybe in your defense, right?
Somebody's defense.
Well, hear what I'm about to say.
Okay.
I had the same issue with the John Carter of Mars movie that came out a few years back. This was
Okay.
like what, like 2014, 2015, something like that.
Mhm.
And the reason I bring that up is because I'm enough of a nerd to recognize that, like John Carter, Dune is one of those things that has been picked at by so many other movies and novels
Mhm.
and TV shows, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, just like for decades, right?
Yeah.
And so maybe some of my reaction to the movie, right, was
Mhm.
me just being like, "Oh, I've seen all this before," you know.
Okay.
And
Um,
I had friends who saw the John Carter movie, loved it, and I just didn't get it because I was like,
mhm.
"Well, it's nothing new about it. It was just stuff we've seen before." But it all, of course, in reality, these stories
Yeah.
predate a lot of those things. So I'm sorry, what you about to say?
A lot of people kind of had that same complaint with
Hmm.
Dune, to which I say I implore you to give the second half of it a chance.
Hmm.
It is very much like the book, in that the first half of the book is not a lot of action. It's a lot of world building, it's a lot of character building, and it's a lot of setting up what
Hmm.
will become um, the fights and the action points in the second half of the book, and therefore the second movie. There really isn't hardly any action in the first half of the book, and that's very much reflected in this movie.
Okay, all right, yeah, and I mean, I also kind of got caught the gist of that too. I was like, there's a lot of setup,
Yeah.
and it's likely that the sequel or the follow will blow my mind.
Right.
And I can respect that. Look, it's not about my pace. It's about the pace of the director and the
Yeah.
story and the pace of the story that they want to tell. So I'm not one of those people's like, throw it away. I don't like it because it just didn't move fast enough for me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, I'm gonna watch two. I'm gonna watch two, and
Sure.
hopefully I'll eat my words. When did they say when the sequel's coming out? Is it like next year or?
October 2023.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Hey. Cool. Cool. Well, we'll find out in 2023. We'll be
Oh,
back here and we'll have this conversation
all
again.
right. I'll be yelling then. I've tried
There
to
you
be
go.
very neutral this time.
Okay, I appreciate it.
I
I
will
appreciate
yell
you
at
not for.
you.
I appreciate you not tearing me apart for this. I was like, I really don't want to tell Ashton this. She's gonna be like, "You plebeian."
I know. I really don't want to be like, you simpleton. Like, that being offensive.
But I also openly admit it.
Right.
Um, okay, so all right, let's get to some comics, right? What's the comic shop's time? Like, Ashton and I have our picks this week, and then we're going to show you guys some of the featured items available at your local comic shop this
Mhm.
week. And Ubaldo saying, "Countdown to 2023." Ubaldo's on board.
Yes.
All right, we'll see you there, Ubaldo. So yeah, let's do it. What's at comic shops? All right, so it is New Comic Book Day. Actually, I can't mention that, so I won't say that.
Okay.
Uh, well, actually, no, I can say this. PREVIEWSworld.com new releases. It was down for a couple of days. It is
That's true.
back up. You can see the items available at your local comic shop today, right? So hey, better late than never, right? I mean, at least you get it at least you
Mhm.
get to take a look at it while you're at work or whatever, and before you head to your local comic shop. So yes, PREVIEWSworld.com new releases is alive and well, and everything that's available at your local comic shop is right there for the picking. Well, not for the picking. Well, you can pre-order through Pullbox.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. For example, Ashton, what is your pick this week?
Okay, my pick this week is The Walking Dead Deluxe number 27.
Okay.
So Image has been going back through and republishing all of the Walking Dead comics in color this time around, which I love the idea of
Hmm.
that. I know there is certainly something classic and foreboding about the original run being published in only black and white,
Oh,
but
sure.
I appreciate the dynamic nature of it having been in color, and especially with these being characters and worlds and places that you know so well. I think it just adds an extra punch to it.
Yeah,
So that having been said, issue number 27 is Woodbury and the Governor, and he was one of my favorites. I don't know if I want to go so far as to say I liked him as a villain more than Negan, because I don't know if I could walk that back later if I said it. But I loved him so much, and he's so great in the comics, and a lot of the things that make him so heinous and horrible didn't make it to TV because of the nature of those things. Wasn't appropriate for cable TV. So I'm super excited to revisit this in color.
All right, cool. Yeah. I mean, of course there's a history with zombie movies and zombie stories in black and white, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, at the end of the day, it's also a zombie story, and you kind of want to see the red, you want to see the crimson, So I can't hate on Robert Kirkman for doing that at all. So hey, it is the 60th anniversary of the Fantastic Four, which, and with that brings a lot of stuff. Like, first of all, it is Marvel's first family, which they they like to say and always like to say as well. It's this Marvel's first family, right?
Good branding.
It is, and these are the characters that ushered in the Marvel age of comics. Like, and by that I also mean Marvel's consistent dominance of the sales charts from this point on till today, right? So it's a big deal, and it just so happens that I'm going to pick two things this week. One of which is Fantastic Four panel by panel. Now, I thought this was really neat, and I am a sucker, of course, for any sort of historical, just historical takes on like comics. This is by Chip Kidd, who's done a number of historical books about the comics industry, and they basically are breaking down the Fantastic Four #1 panel by panel, like literally how it says in the how it says and stuff. And I'll give you guys the breakdown here. The first issue of Fantastic Four by legendary creator Stan Lee and Jack Kirby introduced fans to a now iconic team of superheroes. Kirby's artistic contributions in this comic book revolutionized, and this is not a stretch, revolutionized visual storytelling and brought a new reality to the way comic stories could be told. The ripple effects, which continue to influence comic book art to this day. 60 years after its publication in November 1961, this reimagining of the award-winning graphic designer Chip Kidd uses an original copy of the comic book to present the classic story in a whole new way that is sure to engage but both lifelong fans and the latest generation of Marvel enthusiasts. And there's also stuff, contributions by Tom Brevoort, who's Marvel's editor, and Mark Vanier, who actually is a kind of a comic historian in his own right, and also the creator of Gru and a bunch of other cult classics. So definitely check that out. I thought that was really neat and just kind of really unique. And it's going for $40. It's in comic shops today. So definitely, if you are a sucker for the history of comics like I am, check it out. The other thing that's actually dropping today is Marvel is doing a 60th anniversary Fantastic Four tribute. So it's actually kind of interesting because these two books kind of complement each other really nicely.
Yeah.
It's basically guys like ACO and Brian Hitch and Walt Simonson and Adam Hughes. They basically redraw #1 of Fantastic Four page by page. And it's just kind of like their reinterpretation of the book. And I think in itself, like I think by doing this, what you're getting is kind of an understanding of how influential Jack Kirby was and how much of a great storyteller he was, because now you have these artists of the modern era, like going back and kind of not even reinterpreting, like pretty much going blow by blow and recreating his pages. And then nothing gets lost. So definitely check that out. It's the Fantastic Four tribute and panel by panel that's in comic shops today. And yeah, it's a little piece of pop art history. I like that. I think that's cool.
That is cool.
Of course, that's not all that's available at your local comic shop today. Anime is here, and she's going to show you what's available at your local comic shop. When we come back, we're going to talk about those Disney announcements.
What's up, Previews World? Mia here, and I'm going to give you a look at some of the new titles in stores this week. Here's what's at comic shops for the week of November 17th, 2021. And we're just getting started. The world of comics has even more to offer. So, stop at a shop already, and you might just find your new favorite thing. See ya!
And you can catch Anime every week on Mondays on the Previous World feed. Just simply head on over to Previous World's YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and she gives you a rundown every single Monday of what's available at your local comic shop that week. Undeterred, because previewsworld.com/new releases was down, but she still managed to eke out a video. She got it. She made it happen. And also Johnny made it happen. Like let's not dismiss Johnny. All right, let's get into some news. There were some big announcements from Disney this week and some other comic related things. So let's dive into it, Ashton. Let's go.
News.
All right, let's do it, Ashton. What's been going on in the news this week?
Yeah, so this past Friday, the 12th, was Disney Plus Day. And so Disney Plus Day featured a slew of all new announcements from Disney for upcoming shows, movies, whatever, including kind of this feature piece, which was this never before seen footage of a bunch of new series, including Moon Knight, She-Hulk, and Miss Marvel, as well as an extra look at Hawkeye, which is debuting on November 24th next week. So that was exciting, got a lot of hype around it. And also a bunch of other announcements. They ordered an animated series for Marvel Zombies, as well as X-Men 97 and Spider-Man Freshman Year. And I know X-Men 97 has been something a lot of people have been particularly excited about. Yeah. They also gave you a quick glimpse of Oscar Isaac in costume as Moon Knight, which was super cool. I love Oscar Isaac. I might have a crush on him, but you didn't hear it from me. And they also announced a bunch of other things: Echo, Ironheart, Agatha, House of Harkness, and a ton of other things. You're going to have to Google it because the list is enormous.
It is.
What caught your eye, Troy?
First of all, I am I'm a big fan of the 1970s Incredible 1970s, 1980s Incredible Hulk TV show, and I really appreciated that there's a small nod to the TV show in the She-Hulk, like the little glimpse of She-Hulk that we got, which I thought was actually pretty amusing. She basically, down to their positioning, it's her and Mark Ruffalo. And she literally says, "You wouldn't like me when I'm angry," and it's like, it's definitely a callback to the TV show, which I really appreciated. Outside of that, I am curious about the X-Men cartoon. I mean, admittedly, I think one of the secret of all this, right, is that the X-Men animated series definitely fizzled towards the end, and it didn't look, for better or worse, it didn't look like it did animation-wise. At the beginning of the series as it did towards the end. So I'm curious what the animation is going to look like for this show. Is it going to be spiritually similar to the early portion of the seasons or the latter portion of the seasons, or something completely different? Depending on who you ask, some people hated the animation on the show. I mean, it's very crude. I thought it was very amusing. Disney with the memes. Memeing themselves. I thought that was very amusing. It's all cool. I think it's actually really interesting. I know you like Oscar Isaacs, right?
I do.
So I kind of feel like I already know what the answer is to this question I'm about to ask you, Ashton.
I'm nervous.
Is Oscar Isaacs kind of in that J.K. Simmons, Samuel Jackson category? Is he doing too many things? I feel like he's doing a lot of stuff.
No, not at all. Not at all. Hold on. First of all, I think the first thing I need to say is Oscar Isaac's beard in Dune was amazing. It has nothing to do with what you just said, but I need to get
enviable. It's enviable. It's someone who can't get past this point as of late for some odd reason. I envy Oscar Isaac's beard.
Secondly, J.K. Simmons and Samuel Jackson are just so pervasive and just in your face. Like they're just everywhere. You can't turn on the TV without seeing these men. I don't feel that way about Oscar Isaac. I mean, if anything, I'd just pile it onto the Chris Pratt train. We could probably chill with the Chris Pratt stuff, but I'm all for the Oscar Isaac content coming.
Well, you know what? Actually, no, I'll give you this. Sam Jackson and J.K. Simmons both have TV commercials.
Yeah.
Oscar Isaacs hasn't hit that point yet. But
yeah.
one day. But if he does.
He's
I'm just
getting
saying.
cast in a lot of stuff. And I mean, it's
Yeah.
just, it's a self-fulfilling cycle. Like he gets cast because he's popular. And so it just kind of keeps itself rolling. But the problem is, like, you turn on the TV and it's like an Allstate commercial or Farmers, sorry. And
Right.
it's just
Yeah.
like,
It's both.
yeah.
Why not? Brian Blevins, he's saying, I wonder if X-Men 97 will have Cable and Deadpool in it. I mean, I don't see why not. I mean,
Ooh.
the old show did. I hope they keep the animation near the same. Okay. I definitely do not want a Steven Universe Thundercats Roar animation change. I will riot. I mean, I know a lot of people hate that. I think it's the oh god, I'm totally blanking on the Florida school that all the animation kids come from now, and it's like they all kind of do the same Steven Universe style,
Mhm.
and yeah, it's caused quite a ruckus in the animation nerd community. They're
A
just
ruckus.
very upset about it every time. Like I think they were upset when they did it to She-Ra. I think there was something with He-Man that they did it to, and then of course Thundercats. So I don't know. We'll see. I am curious. I'm curious about what the style is going to be. So yeah, definitely keep an eye on that. Also, and speaking of superheroes, Image started out as a house for superhero stuff, right? For superhero
Yeah,
content. That was their thing. You had Spawn, Youngblood, Wildcats,
sure.
Savage Dragon. It was the 90s. That was just how it worked. But gradually over the last last decades, 2 decades, they've become really just a house of independent storytelling, period.
Sure.
So it's kind of interesting that they're kind of championing this upcoming series of superhero books by Kyle Higgins and Marcello Costas.
Ooh.
So this is actually going to be Rogue Sun, and it's an
Mhm.
extension of, I believe, the Radiant Black series, which Kyle Higgins is attached to. So check this out. This is from Image Comics. This month will kick off with an eye-melting, page-turning crossover superhero event and supermassive one-shot by writers Kyle Higgins, Ryan Perot, Matt Grome, and
Mhm.
artist Francesco Mana. Then fans will be primed and ready to return to comic shops to get their hands on the pulse-pounding new ongoing series launch, Rogue Sun, by writer Ryan Perot and Chris O'Halloran, with artist Abel. And so, yeah, these are two series that they're pushing out starting in February, I believe. Particularly, next, Rogue Sun kicks 2022 in high gear when rebellious teenager Dylan Siegel discovers that the late superhero Rogue Sun was his estranged father. So kind of like Invincible a little bit. Marcus, and that he's inherited his father's mantle. Tasked with protecting our world from the forces of the supernatural and solving his father's murder, Dylan will be forced to come to terms with the man he spent the majority of his life hating. So, needless to say,
Oof.
this will be in the December catalog of previews because it's going to be dropping in February. So, definitely keep an eye out for it by going to previewsworld.com
Mhm.
slash catalog. And yeah, Radiant Black definitely has gotten some positive news, positive responses and criticisms, and yeah, I'm all for like letting image creators dabbling back into the superhero world. Will they cross over into the other, Spawn and all that other stuff? Maybe, maybe
Oh,
not, but
God.
it's still fun. What's going on with Transformers?
The Transformers are fighting each other again, people. They're fighting.
It's what they do best.
Right. So IDW is tackling a more ancient evil with the Transformers this time around. In February, they will redefine the meaning of villainy with the first issue of Transformers War End, a 4-part miniseries by Brian Ruckley, who is the architect of IDW's monthly Transformers series. In War's End, the infamous warlord Exocron who single-handedly plunged Cybertron into darkness ages ago, has returned and reunited with his former generals to wreak more havoc. And so the Decepticons and Megatron will get involved and try to keep this ancient conflict from reaching ahead of just peril and doom. Brian Ruckley said of the series, War's End is about unfinished business for both the characters and for Cybertron as a whole. It's the return of Cybertron's traumatic past to upend its present and answer the question: if your planet has at its core the collective spark of your entire civilization, just how vulnerable might that make you? So it's an interesting take on kind of this ongoing battle. This will also be in the December catalog, hitting comic shops in February, available for pre-order now, and it's going to have a ton of different variant covers. So make sure you take a look at that when the December catalog comes out.
All right, cool. And I'm looking at this super massive thing. I did kind of bury the lead here. I mean, I
Okay.
mentioned that it was connected to Radiant Black. just to backtrack for a second, which is basically going to be the first ever crossover for that series. But it's also going to be connected to Inferno Girl Red, which actually came from Kickstarter, and then of course Rogue Sun and Supermassive is going to connect all these things together.
Ooh,
So yeah, so it's pretty big, and like it's definitely a crossover between a bunch of other titles and expanding the Radiant Black universe. So. Also, what is this? Why have we not seen a Savage Dragon movie? The anime series was decent enough, but I think a movie is long overdue. I don't know what you could do with a Savage Dragon movie. Like I don't know. That's it. That's a very good question. I'm not sure. Curious.
I think it's a bad idea in general to have a mindset that like anything that is successful in one form will ultimately be successful in another.
Very true. Very true. As a matter of fact, we're going to talk about that later with Cowboy Bebop because the reviews are in. And they ain't good. They ain't good at all. But yeah, so definitely keep an eye out for Transformers Wars and Supermassive coming to your local comic shop. And yes, they will be inside Previews catalog next month, I believe. So, do the damn thing. Jim Lee is on Sesame Street.
Okay, yeah, I was patiently waiting for this to come up because I'm confused. Why is he on Sesame Street?
Well, so it's him and the actor who plays Shang-Chi. They're both going to be on Sesame Street for AAPI month.
Okay, great. I love that.
Yeah. So, so interestingly enough, Lee announced this, and I've seen a bunch of other news outlets talk about this. But yeah, he's going to be joining the cast of Sesame Street for like an episode, right? And to highlight Asian American Pacific Islanders on the show. And of course, Jim Lee is probably the shining example of that in terms of the comic industry. Like he is the man. So and also the actor behind who I always butcher his name, so I'm not going to try to say his name at all right now. The actor behind Shang-Chi is also going to be on the show as well, so definitely keep an eye out for that. It's going to be on HBO Max because I don't know if you remember this. Sesame Street went from PBS to HBO a few years ago.
Nope, I forgot about that.
Yeah, and it was like there was a big stink about it because people were like, "You're going to put it behind a paywall because after it's been free for so long, et cetera, et cetera." Which I mean, I understand. It's
I could be convinced of that.
I get it. I understand. But, at the same time, everyone has streaming now. So I don't think it's that big of a deal, So let's zero in on another upcoming title. We talked about Supermassive. We talked about Transformers War N. I totally got distracted by your dog. I'm sorry.
It's not my dog. It's the next door neighbor's dog. It's a pit bull, and he's very loud.
Okay. Okay. He's very squeaky for a pit bull. All right. But there's a new book coming out from Mad Cave Studios called Speed Republic. So we're going to show you guys a trailer for it. And when we come back, I'll put you onto it a little bit more and tell you what it's about. Not the music I would have expected for a book of this nature. I got to be honest with you. That is Speed Republic. That is from Mad Cave Studios. It is from Ryan K. Lindsay and artist Emmanuel Parascandalo. And it's kind of cool. It's there's been a lot of survival genre type stories lately, between Squid Games, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh yeah.
And it's interesting because this series is basically about citizens competing for their lives or for their own freedom by participating in a deadly race across Europe, hence the music, right?
Okay, it makes more sense now.
But yeah, that's coming also inside. Will be also inside the December catalog preview. So keep an eye out for it next month. And we, of course, will remind you guys when the new catalog drops, like we do every month. So definitely just stay tuned. Stay tuned. Oh man. Ashton, I think I've said this before in the show. I I hate it when the internet's right, but I also kind of love it.
Oh yeah, I get that.
It really depends on whose side they're on, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was holding out hope. Yeah, I think we've talked about this so many times on the show, right? There are certain types of nerds, right, who are just salivating at the opportunity to see something fail, right?
Yeah.
And I have never liked that. I've always hated that. I've just never been a fan of that. I would much rather be pleasantly surprised any day of the week by something than to be like, ha, I told you it sucked. Told you it sucked from the beginning,
Yeah.
But the Cowboy Bebop movie, TV show, apparently falls flat. I'm going to still watch it. I'm going to make up my own mind. But it's not a complete and total tragedy, but 40% is pretty low.
That's not good.
And I don't see it climbing anymore, because at this point I think the embargo's up, and anybody who's going to review it has reviewed it. It's coming out, of course, on Friday. But to your point earlier, just because something's successful in another format doesn't mean that you should make it into something else. But I also understand the argument that these ideas, these stories do need to be kind of regurgitated, for lack of a better word, or they'll just get lost in the pop culture toilet.
Okay, nice metaphor.
I was going for it, and I was like, I already said regurgitated. We might as well just complete the circle.
Full send.
Yeah, right, exactly. So I understand that, and Cowboy Bebop's legit one of my favorite things in popular culture. So if it ever just got fell down the memory hole, I would be like, oh come on, this is awesome. How could you guys forget about this?
Yeah.
Actually almost happened to me. Actually, now that I think about it. I was at MagFest, I think it was, which is like a video game anime convention type thing.
Okay.
And there was this guy dressed as Spike Spiegel, and no one knew who he was. Like the main character from Cowboy Bebop, one of the main characters from Cowboy Bebop. And I was just kind of floored by that. I was like, and this was 2010, 2011.
Yeah.
So it really hadn't been that long ago. But so these things are always in danger of falling down the memory hole. So they do need to come back in some form. But yikes.
It's really hard to also transition something to live action that was its most successful animated, because you can do more with animation. You don't have to worry about the production value or the budget behind it to pull off some of these things when it's animated. And so it can fall flat in a live action way, because it's just, I don't know, it's harder to sometimes make that jump and keep things as dynamic as they were in an animated format.
Yeah, right. No, 100%. I mean, you can do so much with animation, and I'm revisiting, because we are doing a roundtable on the 19th. I have Ruth Ann Townsend from Aftershock Comics and a couple other people, and we're going to sit down and we're going to talk about Cowboy Bebop, the animated series, the original series, which is so weird to say now, but we have to make that distinction now.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I'm sure it's going to be a love fest. It's just going to be like, this is so great, so great all the time, and I've been revisiting it because of this, and it holds up so well. It's just such a sharp show, and so spoiler alert, we're going to be just gushing over it probably for a good hour on Friday at 5 p.m. I'll remind you guys about it later in the show. What do we got here? I hope the people bashing this are going on the artistic direction and not the story and acting. I love the live intro that was shown online. Can't wait. I mean, they definitely seem to be reverent to the original source material. But I guess we'll find out on Friday. We'll see.
This is Netflix, correct?
Yeah, it's Netflix. Yeah.
Oh God. Okay, so this does not encourage me for the upcoming Avatar: The Last Airbender live action.
Oh no, I forgot about that. Oh no, I'm so sorry, Ashton.
Me too. I'm
Oh
sorry.
no! I mean, we already kind of were like side eyeing the Avatar show. Yeah, that's true. I mean, people were. I like Twitter could be so mean and so hilarious at the same time. Like when when they started like showing promos for the Bebop show, they were comparing it apparently to the Netflix Death Note remake, which apparently was just absolute trash according to
Oh,
Twitter.
great, excellent, wonderful.
You know, and so yeah, the Netflix and these animation adaptations.
Not
I don't
it.
know. Not it. I'd defend Netflix any other time, but
yeah, they seem to be striking out here.
Yeah, this does not seem to be their forte. That's for damn sure. All right, let's move on. We'll talk about Cowboy Bebop later in the show. I'll remind you guys when the round table is. But now it's time for Social Swamp.
Yeah. Okay, I'm very excited for this week's Social Swamp question. I think it is a fantastic question, and I can't wait to see what you guys said. So we asked you guys to tell us about your personal canon or your head canon for stories. What's something that isn't actually a part of continuity, a detail that's never been made official, but as far as you are concerned, it is a part of the story. It has to be, and you're not letting it go. So let's see what you guys said. John says, it is my personal headcanon that Goose the Flurkin from Captain Marvel is the ancestor of Jonesy, the cat from Nostromo in Alien.
Okay. All right. I actually might adopt that. I like that.
That's pretty good. Matt says, absolute canon. Han shot first. I swear I remember that happening. Let's come back to that one because I know both of us wanted to talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
Juliet says, James Bond as a code name different agents have taken up over the years is way cooler than it just being the same guy portrayed by different actors. TV.
I totally agree with this. I wish that was canon. Yeah.
It's totally like a Dread Pirate Roberts thing, or it should be.
From what?
Like, you know how in like The Princess Bride they talk about like the Dread Pirate Roberts is just like
right, yeah. Right.
So James Bond should be the same thing.
It should be the same thing. I think that's something that they could lean. I actually thought they might lean into that for this recent movie, but they didn't.
Damn, hate to see it. Javon says the Netflix Marvel shows and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. are part of the MCU.
Yeah, there's not much proof of that at this point, but I also agree. I'm totally on board with that.
I'll get on board with that. I'm hip with it. Peter says TJ Hooker is Captain Kirk thrown back in time with amnesia.
Before you started talking, sorry.
Oh, you're good.
Mm-hmm. No, go back.
Oh, TJ Hooker is Captain Kirk thrown back in time with amnesia.
that has a whole. That's. I don't want to pull the age card, but that's before your time, Ashton. We could talk about that later.
Okay. All right. David says Star Wars Legends over Disney sequels. Those sequels were a possible timeline. Han and Leia's kids are Jason, Jaina, and Anakin. Luke fights, then marries Mara Jade. A Jedi Academy is formed and does not get destroyed by a petulant emo brat.
Oh man, I don't want to know how many replies you got to that one.
My God, that is a scorching take.
It is. I mean, I respect it, but
so do I.
All right, cool. Is that it, Johnny?
That's it.
All right, Johnny, you want to be part of this? I feel like you have some insight for this one.
I do. Well, first off, let's go back to the Han shot first comment.
Yeah.
No, not that one. Not that one. This one.
There you go.
That did happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
It did happen. No, it actually happened.
Yeah, that did happen.
That happened.
And then it was in like the late 90s, I think, when Lucas released like the special editions and, to drum up some money to make the prequels. They re-released them. And
remastered.
Remastered, and then I think that's when they first put it in.
Oh yeah,
because Han's a good guy. He's not. He wouldn't do such a thing. I mean, he's a smuggler.
Rogue.
He's a smuggler. He's storing people down in the cargo hold. You think he hasn't like shot someone in self-defense?
Right. Just a weird thing that Lucas like obsessed over.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I always thought the reasoning was really odd, right? Like that. Han, it portrayed Han as a cold-blooded killer, and they didn't want that, which is one, just not true. You obviously wanted that because you made that creative decision in the first place. Two, it makes his character arc so much weaker if you remove that, right? Like it makes it kind of downplays his entire character development. The idea is that he goes from this selfish guy who's about making money and just caring about himself to becoming a team player in the end. And if he doesn't have that selfishness, then none of it matters.
That's actually, that's a really good way of putting it, actually. Like, first you were like, it's this old character. It's like, well, there's more to it than that. But no, that's actually a very valid point. He is a self-centered prick.
Yeah.
When we first meet him, but we like him, but that's what he is. And then he becomes a team player. And like, that is character growth. And like that, just removing that little aspect doesn't completely destroy that, but it kind of doesn't punctuate it the same way.
Yeah, it undermines it.
Yeah,
I do like some of the comments we're getting. Han didn't shoot first. He's the only one who shot.
It's also valid.
Yeah. He straight up murdered a dude.
He did. He straight up totally did.
It definitely escalated quickly. Probably why he skipped town to lay low. He was wanted for murder.
I love that.
That's that's headcanon right there. That's the real reason he jumped on back on the Millennium Falcon with those two.
That's also an Anchorman reference.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay, that's funny.
But that's also like part of like, I mean, going to like the way they change things in movies. I don't know if you remember E.T., but like when the kids take off at the end to like evade the federal like officers or whatever, some of the officers were holding guns in the original version of E.T., but they changed it to walkie-talkies later on because they didn't want. Yeah.
No, Spielberg backpedaled on that like pretty quickly. It was, I don't know, he was in some weird headspace after 9/11, and then like I think he just let it go.
I can understand that.
Yeah.
My personal favorite headcanon, and I've heard this theory like tossed around, is that the Adventures of Indiana Jones are basically the fever dreams of Han Solo when he's frozen in carbonite.
Okay, yeah, I've heard that too.
I still love that one.
I actually love that too. If someone could commit that to story, I would love that.
Oh, I'm sure there's fan fiction out there.
I'm sure
that links it all together. Yeah.
I'll Google it right now.
I mean, in the movies, there's time lapses from like, especially like Last Crusade. Suddenly he's River Phoenix, basically when he was younger, and then suddenly he's an old man. It's just like there's a malfunction happening in the carbonite.
Something's not right. It's just not right. Explains all the different women that he's been with too. It's just just drops in. Doesn't matter. Do you want to explain TJ Hooker, or should?
Well, I never watched it as a kid. I just know it was a police. I believe it was a drama with William Shatner.
Yeah,
that's basically all I know about it.
That's all it is. It was a cop show with William Shatner. It was somewhat successful, I guess. I don't know how long it lasted, but I do, similar to your Han Solo Indiana Jones story. I think that's also pretty amusing. In terms of personal headcanon, Ashton, you want to go first?
No, you can go first because I'm kind of battling between a couple.
Okay, all right. Mine is pretty straightforward, and I think, look, you kind of have to have some sort of headcanon dealing with comics, especially comics that have been around for decades. Characters have been around for decades. So for me, I will just use Spider-Man as like the most useful example here, right? And this actually kind of dovetails into the No Way Home trailer a little bit too, because I was watching the No Way Home trailer and I realized, they're telling the story of one more day, but they're going to make it fun instead of like a source of misery for fans for decades, for years to come. And that got me, that was actually my epiphany when I was like thinking about the topic today. I was like, you know what? I actually play a lot of like just mixing and matching continuity for Spider-Man. I do it all the time. Like in my head, Aunt May died in Amazing Spider-Man 400, Ultimate Spider-Man, and somehow Untold Tales of Spider-Man, which are very, very different takes, are his high school years. One More Day, of course, never happened. I just plug and play wherever it seems fit. Like, the life and times of Spider-Man, according to me, that's how it works. And I mean, if I really wanted to, I could, the fact that I've been reading a Spider-Man life story, I would say maybe that's his epic ending on top of that, So yeah, it's kind of necessary when dealing with these characters that have been around for a very long time. You ready, Ashton, or should I go to Johnny?
I'm ready.
No, I already did mine.
Oh, you already did yours. Sorry. Where you at, Ashton? What's going on with you?
So so there's a video game I love called Stardew Valley, and I was going to go with this one, but then I felt like it was too obscure. But the high point there is that the local wizard had an affair with the local marketer, and they have an illegitimate child. But that's neither here nor there. The headcanon I'm most worried about is in Avatar: The Last Airbender. In Legend of Korra, they kind of try to give some background on the original characters later in life and kind of what they go on to do. And Aang goes on to become like the most influential Avatar and all of this. And they have all of their kids, and Sokka never had kids. And they also never explicitly say that he stayed with Suki after all of that. But as far as I'm concerned, he did. And how dare you not allow this man to have kids? He just spends 3 seasons making dad jokes, and then he doesn't have kids and become an actual dad. That seems wrong. I'm not okay with that.
Okay, all right. No, I get, as someone who has at least watched Avatar: The Last Airbender. I've never watched Korra, but I've heard enough about it. I could co-sign that. I believe in that. I'm there for you, Ashton. I support you in that. Absolutely.
I'm mad about it. Sokka deserved better. I was so mad about it. They did him so dirty in Legend of Korra. He deserved better.
It's okay, Ashton. They're there.
It's not okay.
I like this one. My canon is Sam Jackson from Unbreakable met other superheroes before Bruce Willis and killed all of them and told the story through his comics. Bruce found all this out when he shook hands.
Okay.
Oh,
all right.
Okay.
Okay. All right. I actually kind of like that. That's actually pretty good. All right.
That entire universe, there's a lot of gray area in that glass split, whatever universe, to fill in the blanks.
No, there really is. That's absolutely true. So I think by design, but yeah, there is a lot of gray area. But hey, guys, thank you very much for participating in Social Swamp as usual. It's this is one of those things that I kind of feel like a fun exercise, because last week we had someone say that basically their unpopular opinion was that canon is less important than a good story. And so if you have a personal canon that you want to follow because the stories are better, so be it. And we both kind of agreed with that. Yeah. So I just kind of figured let's revisit that, because I thought that was a fun one to unpack.
It's also interesting too, because there seems to be certain pieces of a story that are not canon that fans latch onto, and as far as they are concerned, are canon in a much larger sense, right? Like, it's easy to be like, I personally feel like X, Y, and Z should have happened. But for example, like if you read enough fan fiction surrounding a particular property, you will notice that certain non-canon things show up a lot and very frequently, because everyone has kind of collectively decided that this thing that didn't happen should happen. I think that's really interesting when everyone sinks their teeth into it and kind of can create their own like external canon together.
No, absolutely. I mean, actually, I think the best example of that actually kind of coming to fruition in a product is Harley and Ivy. Like,
absolutely.
Since Batman the Animated Series, people have been saying like, oh, they're totally together. This is not just friends. Like, there's so much more. And DC has actually allowed certain iterations of those characters to exist in that form. So it's not always a bad thing. I know sometimes I dog fan fiction and all this other stuff, but I'm guilty of it too, guys. So I'm a total hypocrite.
It's the best.
I don't know if it's the best, but
it's the best.
I love when Ashton gets indignant. Like, I just love when the fangirl comes out. It's like so great. It makes me feel less alone. Like, just like, okay, Ashton's just as bad as I am. It's okay.
100%. Oh, I'm a mess.
What is this week's poll, Ashton?
Oh, man. Okay, so Xbox turned 20. That's a thing. Xbox is celebrating its 20th anniversary. So I figured I would, bring back an oldie but a goodie. Before we even jump into this, I had some people point out to me that this felt very exclusive. I'm aware that there are other consoles that exist in the world besides Xbox and PlayStation. Right. But in the spirit, right, the Nintendo crowd was not thrilled with me.
They weren't thrilled with the third option.
Right.
They're like
the spirit of Xbox and their enemy, I asked you guys who you prefer, what console you prefer, I should say, between Xbox and PlayStation.
And what do we have here? So Johnny, great show as always. Troy Jeffrey Allen can do no wrong. Soundtrack the movie for life. See you next time. Okay, wow.
What a compliment.
I don't know. There's a lot of hot takes. I don't think I agree with any of those. What what's so yeah, no, Xbox did have a 20th anniversary. I don't know how, do you guys fall hard on one particular side of this? Let us know in the comments, by the way, guys.
Yeah.
Like, where do you fall in this argument? But do you have any strong opinions about this, either one of you?
I do. I have always been an Xbox person, and I don't know if it's because of the fact that it seems every time that a game comes out for PlayStation, it's always an exclusive that you can't get anywhere else. Like the Spider-Man games and all this stuff. And I'm I don't want to buy a PlayStation just to get these games. The exclusivity thing kind of ticks me off. All the arguments about controllers, this, graphics, whatever. I've always been an Xbox person. So.
Yeah, I like
that. I used to have an Xbox 360 that was shaped and molded and designed to look like R2D2.
Nice.
Oh, really?
And the controller was golden, so it was C-3PO.
Oh, you had that one. That's I know exactly what you're talking about. That's actually pretty cool. Ashton, do you fall on any particular side of this debate?
You know what's weird? We have an Xbox currently in this household. We have an Xbox, but growing up, we always had PlayStations, and I feel like we had 4 PlayStation 2s because my brother and I kept breaking it. So for nostalgia's sake, I always feel more PlayStation, even though I currently own an Xbox. So I would have to say PlayStation.
Okay, no, that's totally fair.
All right, so Troy, where are you at?
I'm decidedly Xbox these days. I think I started out with a PS1. That was my first console. I got a job at McDonald's just to buy it.
Nice. I love that.
But for some reason, I don't know why, I just shifted to 360 and never came back. And I don't miss it. And to Johnny's point, I keep thinking oh, maybe I'm missing out something because I don't get to play Uncharted or God of War, But then I never do. The only thing I kind of regret is that they didn't bring Metal Gear Solid over to Xbox, but after a while it got so convoluted that I didn't care about it anymore. So also, one last thing, I feel like Xbox is way more consumer friendly.
Oh, interesting. How do you mean?
And I mean that by they got to the streaming services quicker than PlayStation. They got to the membership access subscription model quicker than PlayStation. And then on top of that, they have this thing called Game Pass. This is going to turn into an Xbox commercial. But they have this thing called Game Pass, which I currently have, which is basically the Netflix of Xbox games. And so it's basically everything, the Xbox library stretching back to the first Xbox, to the 360, to the One, and now to the Series X is just available to you. And you can just play it. And also the backward compatibility thing is I'm always a stickler for. I want to be able to play my old games no matter what. Even though I never will. I want to be able to play them no matter what. I just feel like they're more consumer friendly in general, and I think that's a big plus for me. So okay, enough. What is everybody saying?
I'm going to say one more thing, and I am glad that I have an Xbox because of a single game called Psychonauts.
Right.
Okay.
I absolutely love this game, and it's basically you play as a psychic kid at a summer camp, and you go inside people's heads to fight their own demons. And it is 100%.
You talked about this before, yeah.
Amazing.
You mentioned this. Yeah.
Every single level is uniquely designed, and it's not it's a first-person shooter. You go from here, and then you go to another level, and it's a little bit different. Every level is completely unique. And they just came out with Psychonauts 2, which was only for Xbox, and then for other services like Steam and whatnot. But anyway, that also is why I pick Xbox. And I am losing into that. 31.1%.
31.1%. But as the Bosnian says in the chat, Xbox is the best box.
The best box.
So I gotta agree with you there, Bosnian, for sure. PlayStation definitely has a larger install base, as they like to say. Yeah. And Xbox is very much an American product. And from my understanding, the Japanese don't particularly care for American consoles.
Oh, interesting. I did not know that.
And I mean, of course, there's not that many, of course, in existence, period. But yeah, that's something that is definitely frowned on upon, from my understanding. I could be wrong, but that's my understanding.
Frowning on Xboxes.
Right, yes. It's it's an American system. Bleh. Anyway, I want to talk about the Halo TV show, but we're kind of getting short on time. So go check out the trailer.
Yes, Psychonauts 2 is so good.
Oh, there you go. Got the 1000 gig version. Okay, wow.
Holy moly.
Wow. So yeah, definitely go check out the trailer. Ashton, what is the comic shop shout out for today?
Yeah, this week's comic shop shout out goes to Starbase 1552 in Franklin, Tennessee. It comes from our friend Artie. We'll show you some pictures from Starbase at the end of the show. During the credits roll, you can get a look inside their shop. If you want us to shout out your local comic book shop on the show, find us on social media, tag your shop. If they don't have a handle, just leave their name and use the hashtag #SupportYourLCS. We'll find your shop, shout them out on the show, and give them some love.
All right. And I want to remind everybody to like, follow, and subscribe. You can subscribe.
Nice. Yeah, that.
You can subscribe. You can subscribe to me at PREVIEWSworld, and that is Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. What did I forget? I said Facebook, right? Yeah, basically. So all those things. And Ashton, where can they find you?
You can subscribe to me at Free Comic Book Day on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. We also have a YouTube. That's a thing too. But Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, those are the main 4. Come hang out, come yell about your opinions, and stay tuned for Free Comic Book Day announcements coming in about a month.
All right. And I want to let people know there's a Sabine Rich interview that is actually pretty cool. She's an artist, but she's also the colorist for many of Frank Cho's works. And so it's on PREVIEWSworld.com. I did a cool interview with her, and she kind of gives us a rundown. She sent me a bunch of videos that I wish I could have used in the interview, but they were just eating up too much space.
Fair.
Yeah, it was a cool interview, and she kind of shows us how she colors comics, which I think is they're also unsung heroes of comics, the colorists. They really make things pop. We were talking about Walking Dead earlier and how much of a difference it makes. And yes, Bebop Roundtable Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. I'm going to be having it's going to be a trio of guests who are going to be joining me. And we're going to talk about our favorite episodes, what makes the show so special, some of the music behind the show, the history of the show. And yes, we might hot take a little bit on the live action show as well. But we're not going to dwell on that. We're going to talk about the things we love and not the things that we find slightly questionable on Netflix.
I'm irritating.
And that's it for Previews World Weekly. I'm one of your hosts, Troy Jeffrey Allen.
I'm your other host, Ashton Greenwood.
And we will see you guys at the Spinner Rack. Catch you later.
Don't forget that you can catch Previews World Weekly streaming live every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific at Previews World on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.